Greetings, this is Personnel Recording 2. I am Obelisk of Malice, reporting on a few new personnel within my operations. Due to the masquerades I've been hosting, my fame has grown quite a bit, if I might say so myself. And in turn, people of high status within the black market's community's willingness to work with me has risen exponentially. Within today's record, I plan on going over one of my new contracts and the madame who made it with me, as well as a new employee of mine. They're quite adept at their individual roles, and I'm quite excited to introduce the two to you. Please enjoy. Lady Bunatil is quite the extraordinary specimen. She's not only outstanding in appearance, but with an outgoing and stubborn personality that would break even the most steadfast of leaders. Lady Bunatil knows exactly what she wants and is not afraid to ask for it. Our contract has me making a specific type of weapon that acts similar to an anti-pesticide. That's something that, when aerated, would kill most species except for hers. She hires mainly from only her home system, and as such, many of her employees are of similar physical composition as her. Now, strangely, despite this blunt personality of hers, Lady Bunatil is softer than one might expect. She doesn't exactly hire employees, preferring to raise them a bit like I do with the assistants. She adopts them quite often from her home system's abandoned eggs and raises them each one at a time. Due to this, within our little black market community, she's known as the Monarch, as she acts similar to a queen ant, or I suppose a queen bee. Her colony of children are quite loyal and adapt at their own jobs, often adopting their mother's quieter side, preferring to work in the dark towards her goals instead of working with her and directly with others. Through meeting her adopted offspring, I've learned exactly how Lady Bunatil has had such an extended lifespan. Through the black market, she purchases a particular species of flower, one that had long since gone extinct on her home planet. She creates a particular sort of honey out of the nectar from this flower, the process of which to create is still a mystery to me, as she refuses to give up the recipe, and then consumes it on the daily. This is possible mainly due to how gentle the honey is on her systems. The nectar and resulting honey of other flowers is often granular, as she describes it, and has not evolved alongside her species in a harmonious relationship. So therefore, they weren't suitable for consumption. It'd been so long since her species had access to such an important flower that they had forgotten about their extended lifespan, leading them to the belief that they lived about as long as those apes. What were they called? Humans. In her rediscovery of the nectar, Lady Bunatil extended her lifetime to an expected 400 years, though her children choose not to partake, as there is barely enough to sustain her as it is. Regardless of that whole mess, Lady Bunatil is one of my favorite clients. She's patient enough to allow me room to experiment and create in my own process, whilst being prompt and on time in both payment and showing up to meetings. She and a few of my assistants have become what I dare say to be friends. They're quite cautious around each other, of course, as my assistants have a habit of thinking anything and everyone are trying to murder me. And the madame is no better. Circumstances might be a bit grim between them all, but I have hope that with time we can grow to trust one another. A reasonable amount, of course. I have no intention of blindly trusting her at all. You must have caution around those that deal in shady... what do you call it? Shady deals, I suppose, such as ours. But is there truly no room for friendship between us? Time will tell. I forgot to mention, dear me, Lady Bunatil has no mouth on her face, as it is instead centered on her neck. The claspers around her face are for grabbing whatever it is she chooses to eat and direct it down under her chin for consumption. The remaining larger graspers are quite sharp and meant for defense, containing a mild venom that, might I mention, hurts quite a bit. I made the mistake of accidentally stepping on one of her lower graspers, causing her to startle and stab my leg. 0 out of 10, do not recommend. Lady Bunatil also tends to wear lighter, thinner clothing. She prefers to fly within the planet her operations are based on and has no time to be walking anywhere when she could easily fly. Apparently. I've never visited her planet, so I can't say for certain. Though I do know that her hair and shoulder puffs are made out of individual feather-esque sheets, layering into puffy coverings. It's quite adorable. All in all, I'm excited to be working for Lady Bunatil, and it will be quite interesting to see what she requests of me next. I'm almost finished with her anti-pesticide, as she calls it. The second personnel to introduce is my newest non-Moloch employee, and perhaps my only non-experiment employee. I will refer to her as Cece, as she prefers more anonymity when it comes to the general public. To respect her privacy, I'll talk all about her without mentioning her name. It's perfect. Cece is within the class Gastropoda. This class of creatures are slugs and snails, essentially. They're ooey gooey, sloogy babies. I love them. They're great. The Gastropoda family is classed by having a head, a ventral muscular foot, and a coily little shell of which they usually can retreat into, though for slugs, the shell tends to be internal. Cece specifically is defined by her head and her ventral muscular foot, which is, it's a bit like a long inchworm muscle that slugs walk on. They sort of scooch forward one half, scooch the rest forward, scooch the other half forward, repeat like an inchworm. Cece's ventral muscular foot is quite long. It's about 3 times the length of the top half of her body and allows for increased movement if used correctly. Sadly, Cece is quite slow walking, though that's only in moving from place to place, which brings me to the reason I hired her. Cece is my communications specialist. She's a linguistics master, and her entire job is to translate text for me from other species and integrate new languages we come across within my mask. With her assistance, we've integrated a function inside my mask that automatically translates what I'm saying to a predetermined language, which I usually set to whoever I'm speaking to. This has yet to be fully integrated to the point where I feel comfortable using it in general, as Cece has only just recently arrived, yet we're making swift progress towards a functional piece of technology that I can bring into the general public. And Cece is amazing at her job. I'm not sure how, but she is easily and swiftly able to learn new languages after she has learned the base that the language was based on. When it comes to different planetary dialects, they are sometimes, if I'm lucky, based on the same ancient language, which makes her job easier. It's quite fascinating, though I don't know enough to say anything for certain. That's why I hired someone to do it for me. I don't wanna. The annoying part about having hired her is now I have to assign a new chore to the assistants, cleaning up her slime trails. I considered confining her to a strict area within the station, but I decided in the end that I don't particularly want to make her so upset at me that she leaves. If that happens, I'll be out of a translator. Instead, the older assistants have begun to assign younger assistants in 3-hour shifts for the sole purpose of following Cece around and cleaning up after her, as her slime is slippery and easily trips anyone who walks on it, which is bad when I have quite a few people running around the station carrying dangerous items of mass destruction. Needless to say, the assistants don't like Cece very much, as she has also yet to learn their trust for being around me. So the younger assistants meant to follow her around has a second purpose, to make sure she stays out of my way and doesn't try anything. Not that she would or could do anything to me, but there's no convincing any of them. Though I'm not sure how some of them aren't convinced, as she eats plants. My worst enemies. I do enjoy watching Cece munch down on those evil little photosynthesizing bastards. Gotta love this little cutie pie. On another note, Cece's specific species is separated by skin color for whatever reason, so I decided not to color this drawing in, as it avoids anyone coming after me for whatever damned reason. I do apologize, as this is the final drawing. It'll come up soon. Though I'm not exactly sorry, as I'm immensely tired, and this was an easy way out of a bit of work. Conclusion. I'm very happy with my investments in new projects. I've had a bit of trouble, computer-wise, concerning programs beginning to shut down in the middle of my work, so I suppose a new record about me fixing that might come soon. It remains to be seen if I can fix it at all. Cece is working well. My anti-pesticide is developing smoothly. My projects are projecting. That's about it. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day. Obelisk of Malice, out.